Philippine Senator Jinggoy Estrada surrenders over flood control plunder charges. One of the Philippines' most recognizable political names found himself at the center of a deepening corruption storm on Monday as Senator Jose Jinggoy Estrada voluntarily surrendered to authorities after the country's anti-graft court ordered his arrest on non-bailable plunder charges linked to an alleged multi-billion peso flood control scandal. The Sandiganbayan 5th Division issued the arrest warrant against Estrada on Monday afternoon, June 1st, 2026, making him the highest incumbent official to be arrested over the alleged flood control corruption. Cameras captured the moment Estrada, flanked by allies, waved to reporters from his car as he made his way to surrender, a composed but clearly burdened figure caught between political, theater, and judicial reality. Before turning himself in, he addressed the press inside the Senate building in what became an emotionally charged final statement as a free man, at least for now. He did not mince words. Standing at the lectern, defiant but visibly shaken, he spoke directly to the accusations being leveled against him. He said, "I will not be broken by accusations, nor will I yield to political pressure. I will face these charges head on, defend my honor through due process, and place my faith in the truth." It was the kind of statement that resonated across a country long exhausted by corruption scandals involving the same names. Estrada then made clear he had no intention of seeking the institutional shelter the Senate could have provided. He said, "I will now proceed to the CID to voluntarily surrender." Thank you very much. In a statement read before reporters, Estrada said he would not seek Senate custody or use the institution as a shield from the charges. Several majority senators, including Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano, stood beside Estrada as he addressed reporters. The senator's decision to waive Senate custody, a privilege he was legally entitled to claim, was widely noted. He was accompanied by members of the majority bloc as well as Interior Secretary John Vic Romulo. The public show of solidarity from senior legislators sent its own signal that this was not a man being abandoned by his political circle, even as the courts closed in. A scandal rooted in ghost projects and kickbacks, the charges against Estrada do not emerge from nowhere. The Office of the Ombudsman filed charges against Estrada on May 28 after an investigation revealed that there was an intricate mechanism allegedly involving illegal budget insertions and project allocations at the Department of Public Works and Highways, DPWH, in 2025. The probe also showed that funds were deliberately funneled into specific infrastructure projects in exchange for predetermined commission fees or kickbacks. According to the Ombudsman, case records point to an accumulated sum of illicit payouts amounting to over $573 million, which were systematically delivered to Senator Jinggoy Estrada, according to Assistant Ombudsman Miko Clavano. Estrada is facing 1 count of non-bailable plunder and 2 counts of graft. The distinction is critical. The plunder case may lead to Estrada's detention because plunder is a non-bailable offense when evidence of guilt is strong. Also facing the arrest warrant are former DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonon, DPWH engineers Denrel Cortuna and Manny Bulusan, and Arturo Gonzalez Jr. Bono was arrested separately and brought to hospital due to high blood pressure, with plans to detain him once his condition stabilized. Estrada, for his part, has consistently and forcefully denied any role in the alleged scheme. Even as the charges mounted, he pushed back against the core of the ombudsman's case. He said, "How can the ombudsman's office file a complaint against me for looting when I am not even presented as being part of the alleged plot, let alone as its instigator? I have nothing to do with it." A pattern that stretches across decades for many Filipinos watching the events unfold. There was a painful sense of déjà vu. This is not the first time Estrada has faced arrest on corruption charges. In April 2001, he was arrested alongside his father, former President Joseph E. Arias Estrada, for plunder. In June 2014, he was arrested again on plunder charges connected to the pork barrel scam. The senator was an actor like his father, former President Joseph Estrada. Both have been previously detained on other corruption-related charges. Now, more than 2 decades after that first arrest, Jinggoy Estrada sits at the center of yet another major graft case, this time not involving ghost lawmakers' funds, but ghost flood control infrastructure in a country that desperately needs functioning drainage and waterway systems. Estrada is set to be detained at the new Quezon City Jail in Payatas, Quezon City, the designated detention facility for those accused in flood control corruption cases. He will join former Senate colleague Bong Revilla there. A Senate in crisis, the Estrada case is not an isolated event. It sits within a wider unraveling of the Philippine Senate's credibility as multiple sitting and former legislators find themselves enmeshed in the flood control scandal. Several other senators and members of the House of Representatives have been implicated in the flood control anomalies in a poverty-stricken Asian archipelago that is among the most vulnerable to deadly floods and typhoons. The scandal has exposed, once again, just how deeply corruption can penetrate public works and how politically motivated the allocation of infrastructure funds can become. The Philippines regularly endures catastrophic flooding, particularly during typhoon season, and critics have long argued that underfunding or misuse of flood mitigation resources has directly cost lives and livelihoods. Meanwhile, another senator, Ronald De La Rosa, has gone into hiding after the Internacio Nall Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest for an alleged crime against humanity. De La Rosa was a former national police chief who enforced a brutal anti-drugs crackdown under then-President Rodrigo Duterte that left thousands of mostly petty suspects dead. The cumulative effect of these developments has placed the Senate under an extraordinary cloud and fueled public frustration over accountability at the highest levels of government. Before surrendering, Estrada held a press conference at the Senate where he also alleged that he had been pressured to join the Senate minority so that the graft and plunder charges against him would not be pursued, an offer he claimed to have rejected. He said, "I stand my ground because what is at stake here is the independence of the Senate. It must remain free from political coercion." It was a remarkable allegation, one that, if true, would suggest the charges themselves may have a political dimension. But it is an allegation that remains unproven and one that Estrada's accusers will likely dismiss as deflection. What comes next? Estrada has asked the Sandiganbayan to quash the plunder charge against him. Bail may still be sought through a hearing, and if the court finds that the evidence of guilt is not strong, the accused may be allowed temporary liberty upon posting bail. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, now chaired by Senator Pia Cayetano, is set to resume its investigation into the flood control anomalies on June 4th, 2026. The legal road ahead is long and uncertain. But one thing is already clear. The arrest of a sitting senator, one accompanied by a sitting Senate president as he gave himself up to investigators, marks a significant and troubling moment for Philippine democratic institutions. Estrada walks into custody insisting he is innocent, insisting the process will vindicate him, and insisting he will not be broken. The courts will now decide whether that defiance is the voice of a man wrongly accused or simply the latest chapter in a political dynasty that has repeatedly tested the limits of accountability. The Sandiganbayan continues to hear the flood control corruption case. Further arrests of DPWH officials are expected in the coming days.